Look at them. They are not a different species. They are us. Anatomically, intellectually, us. But their world was a crucible.
So why was their life expectancy a brutal 12 years? Because their world offered no safety nets. The first reason for their short lives was simple. They were not at the top of the food chain.
Death was swift, constant, and wore many faces.
They fought with our courage, but with tools of stone and wood.
In this world, every parent was a soldier. Every child, a life to be defended to the last breath.
They stood against a predator honed by millions of years of evolution. A perfect killing machine against fragile, intelligent flesh. The decision to fight or flee was a luxury they rarely had. Cornered, their only option was defiance. Courage was not a choice. It was instinct. A decision made in a fraction of a second. VO. They possessed our minds, our creativity. But their weapons were limit to what they could break from the earth. Victory was never clean. It always came at a price.
And this leads to the second reason for their short lives: injury.
In our world, a scratch. In theirs, a potential death sentence. Infection was the silent hunter that followed every fight. The feast of today became the lure for tomorrow's predators. They had moments, not hours, to capitalize on their brutal victory. The scent of fresh blood traveled for miles, an undeniable broadcast across the savannah. It was an invitation for other hungry mouths.
There was no rest for the victorious, only heightened vigilance, the cycle of life and death.
Against sheer numbers, against relentless persistence, the humans were always outmatched, always on the brink.
As darkness fell, the dangers did not retreat. They changed.
The psychological toll of constant fear was immense. True, deep sleep was a forgotten luxury. Fire. It was their greatest weapon, their only source of light and warmth. A fragile, flickering...
They took turns on watch, knowing that a moment of inattention could be their last. Sleep was a debt they could never fully repay.
The darkness was not empty. It was filled with things that had better eyes, better senses, and an endless, patient hunger. Every night was a siege. Every sound, a potential assault. Survival meant reacting instantly. VO. Their intelligence was their sharpest spear. They learned to wield the elements, to turn nature's own power back against the horrors of the night.
Beyond predators and infection, the very environment was an adversary.
Essence. Beyond predators and the terror of the night, the very environment was a constant, draining adversary.
They had no refrigeration, no way to preserve their precious protein. The world was a minefield.
Water. Life's most critical necessity. But in this world, even the sources of life were often traps. They had no wells, no aqueducts, no purifiers. Every drink was a gamble, a visit to... Thirst was an enemy more patient and insidious than any predator. It didn't lunge from the grass. It crept into your... They had no agriculture, no grain stores to see them through the lean times. They lived day to day.
VO. Every single encounter, even one that ended without bloodshed, was a life or death decision that drained precious energy and frayed their nerves.
And so the inevitable came. The old wound, left untreated, had begun to take its toll.
No medicine, no knowledge of germs. Only the body's struggle to fight on its own. The smallest, the most vulnerable, were often the first to fall. Childhood diseases we now vaccinate against were plagues.
They felt loss as deeply as we do. But for them, it lingered like an ever-present shadow. Life, as fragile as a spider's web in a storm, could be severed at any moment. Not by...
So why did early humans die at the age of 12?
They died young, not from weakness, but from the crushing weight of a world without buffers. Bit by brutal bit, they adapted. Generation by painful generation, they built a library of survival in their minds. They mastered fire, turning a defensive tool into a powerful weapon and a central part of their community.
From the jaws of death, humanity's greatest strength slowly, painfully emerged. Each other.
The age of 12 was a barrier. A wall built of teeth, disease, and starvation. A wall they would...
They were the pioneers. The ones who looked just like us and who paid the ultimate price so that